co-founder of Delegates Unbound, Dane Waters, and MSNBC chief legal correspondent, Ari Melver. Ari, let's start with you. Please walk me through the math here, how the rules works and what they specifically need to change, the Dump Trump team.
I just walked out of the room you showed, and this matters because these are the rules that will decide how everything works next week. In typical convention years, that is a non-issue. The nominee is settled and you move forward. This year is different, as people have heard, and those people in that room right now are meeting to decide, do they keep the rules basically normal, which means Trump would be the nominee, and that is what's widely expected, or do these people who are pushing for changes find a way to get alternative rules in that could actually loosen or challenge Trump's hold on the nomination? He obviously won the delegate majority. One of those ideas is a conscience clause. There are other ideas to unbind the delegates. All of it, bottom line, is whether 28 people in this room today or tomorrow would vote for some minority report, for some alternative proposal, arguing that on the floor, instead of just saying Trump's the nominee and moving forward like normal, that on the floor there should be one last chance for the Republican Party to take a big breath and say, are we sure we want to do this, or do we want to change precedent and open up this nomination in some way? That's unlikely. I will tell you, I spoke to a senior Trump official this morning in that room who said they have the votes. Other people say they may get the votes. That is what is setting the table for this last dispute before the convention can officially begin.
Surely a senior Trump official believes he has the votes. Dane, do you?
Yes, we do have the votes. I mean, there's no doubt that there'll be a conscience clause on the floor, which will be approved by the delegates, and so the delegates can vote their conscience. And we believe at the end of the day that if the delegates are allowed to vote their conscience, Donald Trump will not be the nominee.
What was it in Virginia that prompted that judge to rule to unbind those delegates?
Well, the RNC is a private association, and state law cannot bind a private association, especially a political party. So what the judge specifically said is that, hey, you know, you cannot pass a state law that says that delegates are bound in any specific way, which opens up the corridor and the opportunity for the delegates to vote their conscience.
All right, let's say you get your way. Who's going to step in and run? One of the things that's made no sense in this Dump Trump movement, you're missing a punchline.
Well, I mean, build it, they will come. I know I say that and people think it's funny, but the reality is that until there's a clear pathway, I understand why other potential nominees aren't stepping forward. But I truly believe, I've talked to several individuals, that if this passes, people will step forward and Donald Trump will be challenged.
Like who? John Kasich, Paul Ryan?
It could be anybody. I mean, the reality is any individual.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Of course, it could be anyone.
Who knows? I mean,
no, I'm not going to give you who knows. This is what you're here for. This is what you're working on. Who do you want standing up there at that podium running on the Republican ticket?
Well, honestly, we at Delegates Unbound, we don't have any specific candidate. This is a longer-term issue about how the Republican Party operates. I mean, one thing Donald Trump has done is pointed out so many flaws in the process. Now, as far as who's going to run, it could be John Kasich, it could be Scott Walker, it could be Paul Ryan, it could be Tom Coburn. I mean, there are a lot of individuals who care about the Republican Party who will step forward and do what's right.
What about the unintended consequence that you're just creating chaos in the middle of the convention? Hillary Clinton's message right now, as she stands next to Bernie Sanders, is that we're united. Here we are in Ohio. This is clearly not a uniting movement.
Listen, Donald Trump has done more to divide the party in this country than anyone else or anything we could do. This effort is to unify. This effort is to find a candidate who will unify this country, unify the party, and move forward and win in November.
Did he really divide the party? People voted for Donald Trump in the primary, and that's how we got here. And if you don't like Donald Trump, you've got to look in the mirror. The Republicans brought us here.
No, listen, Donald Trump, 54% of Republicans voted against Donald Trump. Donald Trump only received 9% of the registered voters in this country. There's no mandate for Donald Trump to be the nominee. I mean, if you want to talk about the will of the people is 50% plus one. He never received that. Even polls today, when he's up against himself, 52% of Republicans don't want him. So when you talk about upsetting the American public clearly wants somebody other than Donald Trump.
But they didn't want John Kasich or Ted Cruz, or they would have voted that way.
Well, I think there's a lot of issues at play there. I mean, Donald Trump, we can go through all the reasons that he's the potential nominee, but at the end of the day, these delegates are the only authority of the Republican Party. 1,237 individuals will decide the future of this country, and that's a historic vote.
All right, you're crossing your fingers and toes. Good luck.
Thank you very
Rules
much.
Committee meeting now. Thank you so much.